Day. Well, today on The Conversation, we have a remarkable young woman whose journey is as inspiring as it is empowering. Temi Williams. She's a content entrepreneur. She's an actor, a filmmaker. She's a lot. She will be talking about what she does. She'll be sharing her story with us. She is a beacon of resilience, and you will understand why I have just said this when she shares her story with us. We'll be getting into the world of Temi Williams. You're welcome to The Conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. Good morning.
That she's a beacon of resilience.
Yes.
Should we start from there?
I think we should.
Yeah, let's start from there. What does she mean when she said you're a beacon of resilience?
Okay, she's most likely referring to the fact that I'm a cancer survivor.
Yes.
You're a cancer survivor?
Yes. I'm a stage 4 lymphoma cancer survivor.
Stage 4.
Yes. So in 2019, I got diagnosed with lymphoma. And it was a bit of a shock because it didn't really start with
When you say lymphoma, what does that mean?
Lymphoma is a kind of blood cancer, but it's mostly affiliated with the lymph nodes. So a typical symptom would be swelling in your lymph nodes, like in places where you have lymph nodes, like your armpits or like in your neck.
Say if it's even around the waist.
Yeah, or like your groin area. But I didn't have any swollen lymph nodes, so it was a bit of a
There was no sign.
surprise. Yeah, it was back pain I had. And so that's how we started doing tests upon tests. What's causing this back pain?
Was the back pain so severe?
It was severe.
Okay.
It was severe. It immobilized me for like 3-4 months. We were just running tests until we found out what was wrong. And then 2020 was the year for chemo.
Okay.
And then it went into remission in March, but I still had to continue the treatment because, you know, even in medicine, they say even if it's gone into remission, still complete the treatment. So I, did that and continued my life.
So how were you able to, because it was a shock for you, as you said, how were you able to pull through? Because a lot of people would have just lost hope and thinking like, am I going to die? But how were you able to pull through and come out strong?
I'm going to be honest and say it was 3 things. 1, it was my faith in God. 2, it was my family and friends. And then 3, it was my craft. Faith in God because I, of course, grew up in a Christian home. And when we were doing the diagnosis and, running several tests, we didn't know what was going on. And so my uncle and auntie were, constantly there supporting me, saying, take the word seriously now, worship, pray, say your confessions. So when we finally found out what was going on and they told me, every time I say this, there's a tendency for it to come out sounding like pride. But I have 0 pride in myself. Every boast that I have is in God. I promise you, when they told me that what I had was lymphoma, in my head, and I know I didn't think it to myself, it was, yeah, nothing is going to rock my body if it has not rocked Jesus on the cross.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think early detection
Yeah.
is one of the things that saved you.
Well, we won't really say that it was early because it had already gotten into my bone marrow.
Was it stage 4?
It was
Yeah.
stage 4.
Oh, okay.
So the actual deciding factor of should we do chemo or should we just keep figuring out, because out of 5 positive markers that should have been there were only 2. And so it was, okay, let's just run 1 more test to check the severity of this thing and know if we're starting chemo straight on. And they did a bone marrow biopsy.
In Nigeria?
In Nigeria. I got my treatments completely in Nigeria. In a hospital in Surulere. Everything in Nigeria.
Okay, congratulations, and let's get to know who you are and what you do. So we know you're a creative entrepreneur. What inspired your journey into the creative arts, and how has winning Best Young Actor Prize at FESPACO in 2021 influenced your career?
To answer the first question, how did I get into the creative?
What inspired you?
What inspired me? I was born into a creative family. So my mom she's such an enterprising woman. She's into, fashion and tailoring and fashion design and whatnot. But my aunt is really who inspired the craft in me. One of the gifts that I came with into this world is crafts and costume design. So I've always been making stuff with my hands right from when I was like 7.
Wow.
And if there was anything that had to do with the arts, dancing, singing, myself and my sisters were always there. We just always wanted to be part of anything that's carry the umbrella of art.
So it's in your blood?
It's in my blood. It's in my blood. Yeah. We started that way, and when it came time to go to the university, you know, we had a conversation with my family, and they're like, guys, 4 years in the university, you can't spend 4 years doing something that you hate. So think about it now. What would you rather do? And somebody told me, Temi, there's a course called Creative Arts where you can then channel all these things that you do into one space. And
Which university was that?
I went to the University of Lagos.
Okay.
Department of Creative Arts, University of Lagos. That's where I got my training from. I was a theatre major. But I was still doing my craft and costume design on the side. Then I got into acting in film in my final year. So the film that won me the award at First Paco, I got the role in my final year, and we had already started shooting. I went to defend my final year project, went back to set. It was quite a hustle at the time. But yeah, that's how I got into it. It was on that set that I realized that, you know, there's more to just being a creative. We got an acting coach at the time, and he was the one that taught me that, you know, you can make films on your smartphone. He brought out this really cool gadget and said, Temi, they sell it on any website, just go and find it. So I bought it, and then I started shooting things on my phone.
The particular phone? Is it a particular phone?
Well, it doesn't have to be a particular phone. It can be any smartphone, basically. It was the grip he was using to stabilize the phone.
The phone.
You know,
I
was like, this is so cool. He said, yeah, anybody can be a filmmaker. And I thought, then I want to be a filmmaker. So I left that set. I went and bought the grip and I just started recording everything possible. Then I started recording for my auntie.
With your phone?
With my phone. I started with my phone. I started recording for my auntie and her brand. And it was beautiful. You know, people always had nice things to say. Oh, did you record this? Yes. How did you edit it on an app on the same phone? You know, that's how everything started.
All right. You are in the content industry. What are some of the challenges that you have faced, and how have you been able to overcome them?
Challenges. Okay. So because of the separate things that I do, you know, because people will say, how are you a costume designer? How are you an actor? How are you a filmmaker? All of those things. How are you, you know, in like cultural heritage space? How are you managing to do all of these things at the same time? I always wanted to do projects that would allow me fuse all of these things together in one. And it's highly unlikely that somebody will hire you to do those kinds of projects and pay you to do it. So it was...
Is it together?
Together.
Okay.
You know, you say, oh, I want the focus of this film to be this costume, how she wears it. I want the costume to be the one telling the story, and then through movement. Tendencies are you will not find work in Nigeria. In Nigeria.
The silver skill is worrying this one.
You know, so it was a case of me and my friends, you people, and we keep hearing it from mentors. If you don't find somebody who's giving you the opportunity, you create the opportunity for yourselves and go and do the work. By the time you do it, you know, often enough, people will start to see it, recognize it, and then, you know, it will grow and it will develop, basically. That's how we started. We just started making stuff.
Okay. So how has this impossible that you have made possible, how has it been going?
Slow and steady.
Okay.
Slow and steady. It's been years, but we've seen immense growth because what started from smartphone cinematography then progressed to, you know, one of us buying a camera and saying, okay, let's just go and shoot something. I'll make a costume quickly, we'll shoot it. All of that progressed. So that consistency led us to, you know, the project that I just made recently, about my story, basically. So that, you know, there was an opportunity that came up online, and you know, I just applied. Myself and my friends were like, you know, let's apply for this. One of them wrote a script, we used it to apply, you know, we won a grant, and that's how we were able to make a film. So like officially this is like our first big scale film, as it were, in the Nigerian film industry space. You know, so we know that because of how we started and, you know, where we're at right now, we know that consistency has helped us to grow and develop the craft to where we're at right now.
You're into many things. How do you balance it? Because you're like jack of all trades and master of all. I wouldn't say master of none. So how do you balance it? Okay,
so first, I'm not killing myself with, oh, I have to do this and I have to do this and I have to do this in this space. It is for every phase and every season, there's a focus. So if for now the focus is filmmaking, producing a film, directing the film, then that's where my focus is on right now. And then everyone else on the team can handle other areas of it. So I'm not trying to micromanage every department and say, because it is this project, I will also do the costume, I will also do the production design.
Learn to delegate.
Yeah.
Okay, as a content creator, some people would say, or some people would allege that, you know, the space is already saturated. That anybody with a smartphone, you know, can do film. Everybody with a smartphone, you know, can make a film, can create content. So how are you now trying to, you know, stay unique? And have you started to think of this your impossible that you have made possible? Have you started to think on transferring it to other people or people younger who that are aspiring to be like you?
Okay, I really like that question. So to answer the first part, how are we managing to stay relevant?
Yes,
especially now that everybody has a smartphone.
Yes, everybody's creating content.
Everybody's creating content. Yes. Till tomorrow, everybody will continue to create content. So the only thing that keeps us relevant is the niche that we have. We're not recording everything in life, and we're not motivational speakers. You know, everybody's starting a podcast these days. Everybody's wise.
Yeah.
Everybody's wise. Everybody's wise on the internet now.
Motivational speaker.
You know, but our major focus is on, you know, social impact projects and cultural heritage projects. So we tell stories that, you know, evolve around these two major themes. Everything else we do literally always falls on that.
I'd like you to expatiate on that, because when you said this now, my mind is going to the likes of Bolanle, Austin Peters, and then, of course, Kulia Folayon.
Those are the people.
Okay.
Yeah. Those are the people. You know, people that are doing things to create awareness of cultural heritage.
Okay.
So that's what we're doing. I've always been a preacher of, we don't need to leave one for the other. Everyone has a problem with how it was the colonialists that came and changed our style and changed our culture. And I'm like, can we move past that now?
Exactly.
I'm not asking you to forget about it. I'm asking, can we take that but also keep the relevance of our culture and sort of find a common ground? You know, there's no harm in merging the two.
True.
You know, take what's good on both sides and fuse it all together and make something fantastic. So that's what we're doing. And with the social impact projects, you know, where I don't know how to describe that one. It's kind of how there are so many issues. We like to address specific issues that need to be addressed.
That will create relevance.
Exactly. So from the smallest unit of, you know, like the family to the global scale of, you know, maybe creating awareness for sameness in the world, you know, it's all of those things, basically. And then your other question, how do we transfer this skill to
aspiring creative entrepreneur?
Okay, so one of the really cool things about where we've gotten to now, I always say we. I don't speak I in anything that I'm describing, because I don't work alone. I have a really strong support system. I have a team that works with me, and because of, you know, where we started from, we've been, you know, carrying this our studio name for a while, and there's just your go-to people. Guys, let's do this. Guys, let's do this. You know, so now we've registered a company, a production company, a media production company.
Congratulations.
Thank you. You know, and you can't run a studio on your own. You can't run a company on your own. So I have an existing team, and the beautiful thing is that we're all on that 30.
Okay. Yeah, so much you're doing, and you know, I just applauded you for you saying you've registered your company.
Yes.
So funds now.
Yeah.
I know, we know, is a challenge.
Yes.
So, how do you get funds? How viable financially is, you know,
Is
this
it to run
business you're running?
Okay. So back to the project that I just finished. We apply for grants.
Okay.
So the #1 channel for us to raise funds, well, so far for now. I'm sure it will expand when we start to get contracts with, organizations, and then there's like steady content production from these companies. But the way in which we've started, the foundational blocks that we've started with is with grants. And there are grants. The only thing is that a lot of people are not aware. They're not aware.
Are these grants in Nigeria or outside?
So the one that I got that even pushed us to register is in Nigeria. Funded by foreign body in Nigeria. But the grant was specifically for Nigerians. And so some of these things are out there on the internet.
And a particular type of storytelling?
Not necessarily, no. Just so for this one, it was a film grant. So it was, are you interested in film? Have you been producing film? Submit anything you've ever done, no matter how small, even if it was a mobile phone, film. Submit it, fill out an application form, and we'll let you know if you get in. But these things are on the internet, and people don't know because they don't follow these pages. If you're on the internet, you're just following gossip blogs and comedy blogs. But there are specific accounts that you should be following depending on the industry that you're in.
Boys?
They're great because they started off as something, but now they're in the film industry deeper than.
And they started with just
their phones. They're deeper in the film industry than a bunch of other people that are calling themselves filmmakers or even actors right now. So follow relevant accounts online, do some research. So there are even some foreign body grant opportunities that nobody will advertise to you. You have to go and look for them. There are catalogs online as well. You can just literally type in the most random search on Google and it will pull out a bunch of grant opportunities that you can apply for. And the thing is that those foreign bodies want to give grants to people in, say, sub-Saharan Africa or, there are grants.
Okay, for you to have gotten to where you are, it means that, it shows that you have really put in a lot of work. So I want you to speak to the creative minds out there. I mean, looking at your journey, what you have gone through, the level of work you have put into it, I want you to speak to creative minds that if hard work, does it really pay?
Does hard work pay? Hard work pays. It might not pay you immediately, and it might not pay you money, but it pays. It pays in the more you do it, the better you get at it. When they say, what's that thing? Consistency makes. What's that? What's that saying? Something about something and then being the best. Anyway, the more you do something, then you get better at it. There's literally a saying, but somehow it has escaped my mind. But that's really it. So if it's about hard work paying, if you think that you know stuff right now, I promise you don't know half of what you think you know. Right? But the more you do it, the more you learn a different way to do it to make it better, one. And then two, upskilling yourself will never go out of fashion. Find, training.
Using capacity.
Yeah, exactly. Build capacity. There are so many training opportunities out there, and people don't take advantage of them because it's either some of them are free and a lot of people don't value what they don't pay for, or they say, I don't have time. You will never have time for what you don't make time for. And if you want to be in a space, you have to constantly build up yourself. You cannot be stuck in, the level that you started on, even though it was great, but it was great for that time. As time passes, things are changing, things are evolving. You need to also build up yourself. And then three, I'll never overemphasize this, get mentors. My mentors are the ones that have pushed and pushed and pushed. Like if you do stuff today and they see the level that you're at, by the time you send the next one, it needs to be at a higher level. So those are the people that will hold you accountable. One, those are the people that will push opportunities your way, and those are the people that will also give you direction. Say, don't do this, do this. You are stronger on this side. They'll give you proper guidance. Mistakes that you can avoid making, they will point it out to you quicker. So those are my three.
I'm looking at how you can continue to, sustain what you do financially over time. Does it pay well?
Does it pay well?
Yes.
It does pay well.
I had to add the well.
It does pay well. It does pay well. It's just you.
Because you your
grow.
last production?
My last production.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, my last production was a short film. So we got enough to make the film. right, and get it to get it to an industry standard, a global industry standard, if I might add. It's not your, I don't know how to...
Regular.
Yeah.
Not Nollywood.
I'm
not condemning anything.
I wouldn't
right now.
say.
Let's just say regular.
But
No,
yeah.
I just want something, pushing it to something bigger, bigger audience.
Yes,
Let's just leave it like
something
that.
that appeals to not just Nigerians in Nigeria, but also a global audience. So that was good funding for that kind of project. But you know, going forward for bigger projects, for feature films, there's money. There's money out there. There's money to make. There's money out there in this industry. And the funny thing is, there are organizations that are looking for these young people to give money to make these things. I'll be honest with you, there are like 2 organizations that have approached me since I made this last one and said, can you pitch to us? We want to make this. Send us a proposal. You know, and I'm like, is this their budget? Does this money actually really exist? It does exist. There's money. And it pays, but you will grow to the level where it will start to pay you a lot.
Okay. How do you envision the future of the creative arts in Nigeria, particularly in areas which you talked about, culture, heritage, technology, and of course, is it philanthropy?
Philanthropy.
Yeah, philanthropy.
How do I envision the growth?
Yes. Where do you see the creative arts industry in Nigeria in future?
Well,
Or what is your dream?
the creative arts industry in Nigeria is what's putting Nigeria on the global map at the moment. Everything
I do agree with that.
we are exporting right now is coming out of the creative industry. And there are more and more...
music.
Yeah, the music,
movies,
sports, movies, all of those things, even visual arts. They are now interviewing visual artists from Nigeria on CNN. You know, so I know that it's growing. People are now starting to see the potential in the industry. Parents are now starting to allow their children toe the paths that they want to. So in the coming years, you have more people in the creative arts industry than, sorry to say, medicine and the others. You know,
It's not to say that those ones are not important.
it's not to say they're not important. We need doctors. We need doctors. You know, but you know, people, they used to really look down on people in the creative arts. I remember when I was going in to study theater arts, my dad told me, Kende, people don't study theater arts in school. You don't, that's a hobby. You don't need to get a degree in that. Whereas after that, I got a fully funded scholarship for 2 years to tour Europe, doing a master's in the creative arts, in dance and cultural heritage.
That's that one. That dance. I've
Who
seen
is going
how
to give me
dance
money
has
for that?
evolved
Over
in
the
Nigeria
years.
over the years,
Yeah.
and I sit down when you see the likes of this popular dancer. What's her name again? Kafi.
Kafi.
You know, she also won this Guinness Book.
Guinness Book of
yeah,
Records.
in dance-a-thon. You know,
People are doing really great stuff.
Yes, the creative arts are, you know, is doing very well in Nigeria today, and of course we have one of them here, Temi Williams, who has been talking about the creative industry and how to be a creative entrepreneur like herself. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll go on another short break now. When we come back, the conversation continues.
Boarded the bus from Monepan going to Ketu, not knowing I entered the one chance bus. Getting to Pangrove, I discovered I've been caged. So they were trying to get money from me. They beat me like hell. It was even as a result of that beating I got that day, I almost lost one of my eye.
Welcome back. We had an interesting time in the studio with Temi Williams, and this is like a wake-up call for young creators out there. You can do so much. You can do so much with the talent that God has embedded in you.
Yes, the creative industry is a viable one now in Nigeria, and you know, of course, we had Yusuf earlier on. The great.
Today is the day of creatives.
Yes, and they're young. They're young, and you can see the passion, you know, in what they are doing. They love what they are doing, and like Temi said, that when she wanted to go into uni, was it her parents?
Her
dad asked her that, look, you can't go into uni and go and do what you do not enjoy. Of course, she had the support of her parents because she said earlier that they are also
a family of creatives.
Yes, family of creatives. So more parents should, you know, encourage their children in whatever they want to do. It's creatives. They are the ones putting us on the global map. Right now in Nigeria, from our movies to our music to sports to dancing to cooking, everything.
So like creative.
Our showcase, our direct,
so you are talking to it.
And even talking.
It's like the new oil now.
Yeah, I hear talking.
Oh, this one too.
What did she say?
She said yes, like this is our
talk.
Our talking.
Joy. Joyful joy.